5:04. Do we have to question whether there are adjustments to the agenda before we do the liquor commission, correct? Any adjustments to the agenda?
No,
Okay, good.
no. You could have done the liquor commission because that's separate, you know.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Continue.
we're all set. So, next on the agenda, or previously on the agenda, Putney Inn liquor license.
Jonathan Johnson's gonna present that.
Douglas Fletcher and Tristan Fletcher, father and son, have signed a lease to reopen the Putney Inn as a full-service restaurant. And they think that they would like to have a liquor license.
Good. All right.
On sale?
They've submitted a proper application with the proper fees.
Good. So do we need to review any of that, or just need to see what, we don't have copies of it? We don't-
No.
We don't have copies of it.
Do you have any questions?
Can they review it?
Sure.
I guess my only question is that's just for on sale.
On site.
Sale.
Yes, and there'll be a little patio, so you'll be able to sit outside. You know, with Katie's closed, it's kind of nice to have another option of places to eat in town.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and-
nice to see life back in there.
Yeah.
There's the application, and where that posted is where you either approve or disapprove. That's their LLC. My understanding is
They haven't come to the town for a zoning permit because it's not a change of use.
Right.
So it'll continue as a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I talked to Doug too, I know him personally, and they're gonna do events and have live music and,
Cool.
So I'm curious, based on the name, are they looking to make it more like nightclubby, or is it?
That's not my understanding.
no,
Okay.
no,
That's good.
no karaoke, but, yeah.
Yeah.
So he used to own a bar in Bellas Falls, a long time ago.
Yeah, that name is.
Doug Fletcher, and he was in Vernon for a while.
Oh.
And,
Is this separate from the hotel?
Yes.
Yes.
It's the building adjacent to the interstate.
so it's
The hotel
It's
is,
the one that you're looking at
Yeah.
as you come.
Yeah, no, so are there different owners now for the hotel and the restaurant?
No,
The folks who own the Colonial also own the Putney Inn.
yes,
And
Yeah.
they'll own it, but this is a lease,
he's
Okay.
leasing
He's
the building.
leasing the restaurant building.
Yes,
All right,
which is what he's been trying to do with it
For a long time.
excellent.
yes.
So, yeah, good.
And that'll go to the state of Vermont Liquor Commission or whatever, so.
Right, it has to start here, and then tomorrow I'll send it to Montpelier, and they'll say yea or nay.
When, do you know when they're hoping to open?
August.
August 1st.
Cool. Good.
Yes, it is good. It's been a long time
Yeah.
for that building.
Yeah, it really has.
Yeah.
It's every time I drive by it, I'm kind of,
It's an icon in Putney,
it
for
is,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
My aunt's first marriage was there. First wedding.
No more questions. All right, so, motion to approve. First and second class liquor license. What is it, first class? First class liquor license for the purpose of a restaurant under the LLC name of Club VT at 55 Putney Landing Road, otherwise known as Putney Inn.
Great, so moved.
I second that.
If there's no further discussion, then all in favor?
Hi,
Aye.
wishing them the best of luck.
Yes.
Yes. What does it cost? What's
The application fee is 115 to the state, 115 to the town. And then there's additional fees for the outside consumption, but we don't get any share of that. And then we'll get the renewals next year. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
All right. Approval of minutes from May 23rd.
I'll move to approve the minutes of May 23rd, 2018.
With that correction of yours,
Yeah, with just one minor correction.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of May 23rd as presented with one correction.
Yeah, so part 5, section C, just the last, it seems as if the last 2 words should be removed. Consult with our attorney for recommendations or.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's great.
It's been moved and seconded, unless there's any further comment. All in favor? Aye. Yes, good.
Yes.
Aye. Okay. Public comment on items not on the agenda. I'm assuming you guys are the Brattleboro Area Coalition. Good, okay. So I don't think we have any other public present, so probably not public comment. So on to item 6, which is select board items, and the first item within that is Brattleboro Area Prevention Coalition.
Hi.
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 I hand you guys all something. Let me start.
I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Steve?
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen. Hey, Deb. Cassandra Holloway.
And I'm Rolf Porter. Welcome.
We only had 4, and I apologize, so.
I already have one, so
Okay,
I'm
super.
good.
Great, thanks.
With me,
Thank you.
but I
And
already
then
read
this is
it.
our PowerPoint. It is smaller, but there's some things that when it gets really small, I actually can refer you to other handouts or to the primer, so you don't have to worry about squinting too much. Great. Actually, I think I have that too. So the reason we're here today is we're going to be going to all of the towns in our coverage area, which Brattleboro Area Prevention Coalition covers 5 towns. So Brattleboro, Putney, Dummerston, Vernon, and Guilford. And but this primer was created initially in Lamoille County with their regional commission, and so we reached out to our Windham Regional Commission, and they were excited to work with us. So this is actually a partnership with them. So this is actually, we're doing it in our coverage area, but all the coalitions in the county are going to be going to their towns as well. So this is kind of exciting. So what you're getting is going to be kind of throughout the whole county. So what this is a primer to talk about how municipalities can help in reinforcing community norms and community policies around substance use and trying to reduce that in the communities and to encourage a more healthy community. And so this is really just going to be a talk about what that would look like. We're going to just do an overall today, but we'd love to talk more specifically to specific substances because they all have their own kind of tweaks, certain things that we can do in each area. So that would be tobacco, alcohol, and marijuana specifically. The purpose today is just talking again about how our work connects to community town decision makers when it comes to how to support their residents, and that includes providing and enhancing efforts to creating healthy environments. We are able to offer technical assistance, and that includes best practices, sample policies, and bylaw language, including those that are happening in other towns. There's a lot of coalitions throughout this state that are working with towns on certain ordinances or non-regulatory actions, and this is not at all to an effort to restrict or mandate any municipality to take action, only to inform you of what options there are and ideas that may be appropriate for your communities. So the next one is just a great kind of encapsulates, there's a quote that I'd like to use just to kind of encapsulate why we're here today, and that's if you want to bring a fundamental change to people's beliefs and behaviors, You need to create a community around them where those new beliefs can be practiced and expressed and nurtured. And so this is an emerging field as far as really doing prevention. It's not emerging, it's been happening for a while, but it's definitely being recognized as like, this is the way to help reduce substance use, is when you make kind of a broader community change, although there's many aspects which we'll talk about. And in doing so, it will help in employment, health, obviously. The Brattleboro Memorial Hospital does a community needs assessment, and this past one that they did, substance use was one of the top 3 concerns of residents in the county, so, or at least in their coverage area. So, so the community is concerned about substance use, as we know, and public safety, as well as just education, which will kind of hopefully educate you a little bit today, but that's a big part of what we do, is educating the community, and different sectors based on what their roles are in the communities. So the next slide I wanted to show you is just a recent stat. We're really excited to get this. We were kind of waiting for our county youth risk behavior survey data, but the youth risk behavior survey has been done, I think, since 1999 in this state, and we're really lucky in the state because pretty much every high school does it and every middle school, where other states is kind of, they're not required to do it. It's a Center of Disease Control survey, so all that data gets sent to them and they go through it, and it's been taking a little longer each time, and I don't know why that is. So the state just launched, like throughout the state information, that they will bring that down to county as well as supervisory union, which is really exciting because that's what we tend to look at, is like what's happening in our areas. But what we just got recently, I mean literally last week, this is all hot off the press, kind of one that we really wanted to highlight was perception of harm. And you can see in the first one that binge drinking each weekend, which means 5 drinks or more for males and 4 drinks or more for females in one sitting, that only 36% of youth think that that is a great risk. And only 24% of youth think that using marijuana regularly is a great risk. And that also means half of them think that there's risk, more than slight risk. So that's something that we obviously want to be addressing. What I want to really point out now is the smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. You can see 68% think there's a great risk and 18% think there's a moderate risk. And there's a reason for that, and that's because, as you know, we've talked about tobacco for a very long time. There's been a lot of education, but not only that, there's been local and state regulations that have happened in reducing where people can smoke, increasing taxes, and we also know that it's just kind of it's not really a norm that kids are seeing. So if they see somebody smoking a cigarette, generally, unless it's in their own home environment, it's something that it's not something that they go, oh, that's just what people do. It's kind of, so that is just kind of an example of how much municipalities and states make a difference, but also it's still an issue, as you can see. It's not like we've cleared it up, so we still need to continue to address it. But that brings us to the next stat.
Which is, this is teen use of e-cigarettes, and the main thing I wanted to highlight was, we see there the 12th graders, 44% of them have tried. This is, as I say, the most recent stats. And I go up to Leland and Gray once a week, and they're regularly confiscating these small little things called Juul pods. There's as much nicotine in a single Juul pod as a whole pack of cigarettes. And a lot of the kids don't even know that fact. Some of them don't even know that there's nicotine in there because it's not in the advertising that they're sharing with each other. And so, but it does actually highlight something that municipalities can do. There's all these worrisome things. But there's actually something that can be done, and that is it's simply including vaping is one possibility on your no smoking signs. That's something which is possible to do at least. Because part of their advertising actually is, oh, you can now do this anywhere. But the problem, of course, is that for middle school and high school students, it's the nicotine itself, which is actually neurologically toxic, besides being addictive. You know, and when they're going for them with a whole pack of nicotine in a single damn pod, you know.
Rolf
was-
talked to a student, they thought it was just a cigarette.
They thought it was just a-
If they smoked that much, it
I
would
came
be a cigarette.
I
It was a
came
whole-
to, yeah, actually to the Putney Central School and then asked them, and they knew they're completely familiar with these jewel pods at the Putney Central School, and they knew how people get them. But they didn't know, they thought that maybe there was a couple cigarettes in there. Nobody knew, none of the kids knew that it was the whole pack.
So more work to be done on our end to like try to really, it kind of came quick, right? And this is actually data from a year and a half ago. It doesn't even include jewels in there, so kids might not have, so when we do it again, it's probably gonna be even higher, which is really startling.
Yeah, so we need to move on, because we know, and again, we've got a lot of other information.
So if you all want to, instead of going, well, your slide is pretty small, but the next thing is that little like circle, and if you go to page 7 in your primer, there's probably an easier way to visualize that, because I know you guys got like a half a page than we did. So we work a lot in each of these realms when it comes to what's called the prevention model. This is actually a national prevention model. We're just kind of using Vermont and actually local information for the county on what that looks like. So obviously you work with the individual, right? That's just like educating the youth or the adult. Then there's the relationships. What's kind of happening within their social and their family environments. And we have groups like middle school leadership groups in Putney that we work with directly. We have our youth program coordinator goes there every week and works with their kids, which is excellent. And then they also get that at the high school. And then we obviously have organizations, which would be the schools or work sites, the community at large, and that would include the social and the cultural environment, and that would include smoke-free events. I know Twilight Music on the Lawn has been posting smoke-free zone signs. That's been great with Barry having helped us with that. Putney Center, Community Center, and the Putney Cares Now Family Service merged. Those two buildings are smoke-free, working with us in making that happen. So that's wonderful. So those would be some examples of community, and then obviously there's policy and systems that could be local, state, or federal. And that could include smoke-free parks or other kind of ordinances and such that we can talk about. So that just kind of shows like we're all in this together. We're also going to
And
talk
for,
about
just
that.
very briefly, on R7 here, we've got municipal, how we can do this. We have municipal plans, non-regulatory options, as well as zoning and information policies. But I want to jump ahead for the interest of time, because I know that you guys are trying to get somewhere else. Didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help it here. So just up to R12, we've got some
They're not
examples.
going to know what that means.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh, quite right, sorry.
They don't have pages,
Yep,
so I
right.
think we should stick to it, but
Okay.
we can go back to the loop. I'll just go quick through the other ones. So just
Okay.
about town plans, I just want to recognize that the town of Putney has something in their plan. This is a town to continue to support and participate with community service organizations offering health and social service assistance. So you are actually in the primer as an example of how towns can kind of lead the path in their plans and how they look at the efforts that they want to have. And we worked with all of the trail maps. We actually funded that trail mapping that you guys have, which is awesome. The Department of Health, who's our partner, did the snowshoes. It's happening in the library, and we just talked about some of the smoke-free work and the school efforts that we have. So I think we've hit a lot on that anyway, but we know your town plan's coming up, so we'd love to be able to provide any input on that help, those kind of components that you might want to envision for your town. And the next thing, which is the regulatory examples, this can be anything, it's just kind of retailers. One of the things that towns can do is to cap how many retailers they want. You all currently don't have anybody selling tobacco. You used to have you used to have it at the two places, never at the co-op. The general store, and then when Mountain Paul's when they were here. So I mean that's something that can be considered. Also, like how many alcohol liquor licenses. That's a little bit. You guys obviously have more control in that as liquor commissioners than you do with the tobacco. Tobacco's a little wonky. It's almost more zoning than it is. You guys get to kind of make the decision. How many per population size, that might not be necessarily appropriate for here. How many are within a certain distance, not only from each other, but also from the school, for example. Like if the Maple Syrup place wanted to have a liquor, start selling liquor, maple liquor or something, for example, like that's right next to the school. Is that something that the town wants to do? So you can do some preemptive efforts as well as signage. So if somebody does sell tobacco, you might have a signage ordinance that says, all right, well, we don't want any signage on the front to promote your products, so that can help in reducing that. So those are kind of, that works for everything. We also have marijuana maybe legalized, so that might be something you want to consider too, is do we want to have places selling paraphernalia or marijuana in our towns? And you can start to think about that now.
You're probably aware of this, but Sunoco, which is, might as well.
I know it's so hard. It feels like Putney, right? And you're like, it's not ours.
Alcohol, cigarettes, Juul, and paraphernalia.
Yeah, we'll be talking to them, to that town, yes. So that's just a quick little, so we talked about that's kind of restricting and limiting availability. Sometimes it's about outdoor alcohol consumption, neutralized signage reduction or removal, and we can enhance ordinances with addendums. Some towns choose to be dry or only beer and wine licenses, and then you can have smoke-free events in places. And then we went here, and what's also, when you got, just for the sake of time, there are some local examples or regional examples. Brattleboro, Ludlow, Weatherfield, Manchester, and Springfield have some that we highlighted for you.
And our job is just to be keeping abreast of new ordinances that happen across the state that are, have been able to be enacted, and to be able to give you technical assistance to let you know about those as well.
And we work with the people who are doing that work in other parts of the state, so we get firsthand kind of like how they go through the process for the people that are on our end, which is wonderful, because then we're not starting from scratch. We can actually see what's worked and where their challenges were, and try to preempt that from happening.
Yeah.
We've used up our 50 minutes, but again, we'd love to come back.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd like to recommend that you attend the planning commission meeting.
Okay.
And we can take our time and you can present to them, because it may affect the town plan. And the town plan will be revised. I think it needs.
2015 was the last one, so
Yes.
it's every 5 years.
Yeah,
I think,
2020.
Yeah.
So this is good timing.
Yeah.
Great. Did you have any questions for us at all?
I know what you want.
I was interested that the towns you named are all SESU, so is it that, I'm assuming that's not coincidental, but they're not all the towns of Windham County, but they are all the towns that are within.
Are you talking within that little like circle area?
Well, when you first said who you're serving.
Oh, that's, so Brattleboro Area Prevention Coalition
Yeah.
is part of the Windham County Prevention Partnership. So we basically do some work with other prevention coalitions in the county. So our focus is this Windham Southeastern.
So
That's
it's
always been ours,
okay.
yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, and pretty much every coalition has this kind of goes by the school district, which is
Makes
great.
sense.
Yeah, except for the collaborative, which has 3 counties. It's crazy. I can't imagine what it's like for them.
It's also just, it's surprising to me the number for no risk perceived for marijuana. I mean, I think that the risks that are associated with smoking and drinking are different perhaps in some ways, but that's a remarkably big number. 21% of people think of
and kids are
think
vaping that as well.
No, I know.
And they're also, it's like, up to 90%. Some of the products, like what's called DAD, is like 90% THC, so it's not at all. So the fact that they don't think that's dangerous when they're taking such a strong concentrate is really,
If one has any memory of having done such, it's not what one remembers.
Yes.
It's a different.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
No, and also just the smoking alone is
right, exactly. Taking it in, and even the vaping stuff that they're finding is really not.
lots of formaldehyde, all sorts of pleasant things.
So we're trying to do our best on that. Unfortunately, marijuana hasn't been funded in the way that some of this other work has been, so that's why you haven't heard a whole lot from us on that.
Right,
So we're trying our best to do what we have on that area, but We know a lot. So always ask. Great.
Yeah, you've done your homework.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
curious, are you addressing the opioid crisis?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only reason we're not really talking about that is because you as a town, like, I mean, we could definitely talk about that, but there's like, what kind of regulation would you necessarily have around opioids? I feel like that's pretty much a state. I haven't seen any towns take any action on that. Maybe with medicine-assisted treatment centers having a say on if they want those in the towns or not. But we are doing a lot of work around that. We're actually applying. We just have an AmeriCorps Vista that's going to be doing county work with all of us. But we have, I think, 3 or 4 grants that are targeted towards opioids. And we work with every sector. I was just with medical providers today, and we're getting pharmacists together to talk about it. We educate students, we're educating parents, students in the schools. We're going to every school. In kindergarten, we even have middle schools dressed up as different characters and talking to little kids about not taking pills. So we're starting really early. We have disposal boxes at the now at the hospital and at Hotel Pharmacy and Greater Falls Pharmacy, as well as police department. We've just had them for a while, and the police department has free lock boxes for people who want to secure their medications. So all that work has been done through, not just through us, but through our partnerships. So definitely there too. But if towns want to talk about that, we'd love to talk about that as well.
Yeah, really, we're here to serve whatever your information needs are. So if you
Yeah.
let us know, then we'll be glad to come back prepared with the most recent information on that.
And we're going to get
specific
some local
topic.
data as well. We're doing a lot of surveys in the community as well as like what's happening. So we'll be able to also say, okay, this makes sense for like this town versus maybe another town. So we'll be able to do that if you're looking at something more specific. Yeah, thank you for having us. We hope to see you more. I was a staff of 1 for a while, and now I have 3 people and potentially a Vista, so I'm like, yay! So you'll be seeing us more.
All right,
Thank you for your time.
I'll be in touch about
Okay.
planning commission.
Okay.
Great, that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, James. JJ, I have some work for you if you want to go back and visit him.
All right. Letter of intent, FY19 Municipal Road Grants in Aid Program.
Okay, so Windham Regional sent us our packet, and if we're interested in grant funding for next year. And this is for projects like Tavern Hill and High-Low Biddy that Brian just did this past year. So this is money that's available to the town. And for 2019, we qualified for $19,250. And of course, 20%, there's a 20% match, which is $3,850 from the town and $15,400 from the grant funding.
And I think we've mostly been able to achieve that through in-kind, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I would recommend, and Brian also recommends that we sign this letter of intent. And then we'll figure out which ones we want to connect and work on.
Yeah.
Is that you that would sign it, or?
No, I'm gonna have
would we be
you.
approving? Okay.
Yeah. I have it here, so.
Motion to approve the letter of intent to participate in the RPC DEC Municipal Roads Grants and Aid Program.
Yep.
Seconded?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the letter of intent to participate in the Roads Grants and Aid Program. There's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next time we meet, remind me to tell you about, I was able to gather what some other towns do for driveways, driveway culverts.
I have information on that. I
Did you?
just don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Brian and I were talking about it today.
Well, they had 3 different road crew foremen at that
Meeting.
forum I went to. Yeah, so it was really interesting. They all handle it differently.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
And there were pros and cons to each different approach.
Yeah.
Do I need to sign this too, or?
It's got 3 spaces.
Okay.
Sure. All right, Windham County Sheriff's Office contract renewal for FY19.
Thank you. So So we're in receipt of the new contract for July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. There's minimal changes. So of course, the term changed, the notice of renewal. So if we want to renew the contract, we have by November 1st for the following year for the rate changes. So what'll happen is they will get us the new rates, and if we're okay with it, we can go ahead and implement them, but we'll be talking about that for the new budget. So we'll have the rates for the following year for the budget.
Right.
And right now, we're at 70,000 a year, which is $5,833.33 per month. But on or before November 1st, we shall notify, the office shall notify the town of the contract rates for the following year. And then we'll have 60 days prior to the end of this agreement to either accept them or reject them.
Did we budget it at 70 this year? I almost thought we budgeted a little bit more.
You know, and I was gonna look at that, Josh, but I
We were at like
just,
72 something.
This is,
Yeah.
72,260.
I wanted to grab, I can grab it. I meant to look at that and I just. Hopefully it's in here, because maybe I have that
I think it
omission.
Oh, right.
Right. Sorry to take up time doing this, but
No, it's all right.
sounds public safety. No, it's at 70,000.
It is?
Yep, 18-19 will be 70,000. So by November 1st, we'll have new rates for the following budget.
20.
Yes.
All right. So we don't have a copy of the full
We do.
legal.
No, this is like an amendment to
It's
last
basically the
year's.
same,
Yes.
it's basically the
Yep,
same contract.
it is. So,
So
And did we receive that in our packet, the whole thing?
no. And the change to read, they're just changing
Effective.
the final date, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're changing
There's
the
that
term.
note, small print there that they're changing that over.
Right.
Okay.
And the notice of renewal is very important, so, but we'll have the rates by November 1st, 2017. Then we can plan for the next fiscal year. But we don't have the rates yet.
Right. Well, I've seen it before. Steve's seen it before.
Yeah, I've
You
never
haven't
seen
seen
it.
it before. It's pretty boilerplate-ish. I mean, we could, if you want time to review it, we could table it till next time and still be under the wire, but let them know that we have the intent to sign.
I think I can defer to your judgment on this.
It's-
But I would like to read it on my own time, but I feel like really what other option do we have to?
Well, we have 2 more weeks. I mean, we'd still be in June. at the
Right,
next
June
meeting,
20th, we'll have another meeting.
So if you want to
Okay,
table it till then.
Do you
that's
mind, can I get a copy of this?
Sure.
Okay, great.
But other than the changes here,
Right,
nothing
Same
else,
thing.
okay.
yeah,
so-
everything else is the
And
same.
that's what we kind of really
Right.
pushed to get.
But not having the rates until November 1st.
Yeah.
Even when we sign this, we can negotiate with the sheriff's department possibly, but
next time around. Yeah. No, I mean, I guess my one comment on it would be that this is by our own doing, but we haven't had them in for a while, either the sheriff himself or the deputies, and it's good to, we used to, periodically we have whoever the deputy is come in just to sort of chat about what's going on, so we probably ought to continue.
I will remark that I do look at the reports every month.
Yeah,
And I have to say, there is revenue coming in.
yeah.
I was gonna ask, how does that work with when tickets are issued in our town? How does that work?
We get a certain percentage.
We get a percentage, we don't get all of it, but we do get a percentage, and, yeah.
It's a slow process. It goes through Windham County, then it goes to the state, and then the state reimburses us
And
our,
if court's
amount,
involved, and then it's,
I can't remember exactly what the percentage is, but,
So it's fine, when they finally get paid, we get like a
Yes.
commission?
it's not really a commission.
Yeah, but
It's a percentage.
A percentage, yeah.
Yeah.
Back, do we wanna call it?
But it offsets that contract amount a little bit.
a little bit. It's amazing
Yeah.
though. There was recently a thing about this on NPR.
Yeah,
on
the sheriff
NPR.
gets 10% of the,
Yeah, I don't,
I
I
think it was
think it's in
10%
different
of
town,
the
yeah, in
contract.
different, like Plymouth, Vermont, it's a big number. I think
Oh,
it
no,
was
of
Plymouth.
the contract, of what we pay, he gets a percentage of it by state law.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's like his bonus.
Well, I don't know if it's a bonus, it's probably,
Part of,
Yeah, it's
it's
part of
compensation.
his, it's part of his
Compensation,
compensation, yes.
yeah.
Commission.
And, I'm just gonna throw this out there, the sheriff's department isn't the only one struggling. And rescue is in the same situation, and I think you're gonna find that any public service, they have to cover their costs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, so we don't know what the rates are gonna be.
Mhm.
I think, they'll be fair, but they have to cover their manpower, their cost to operate.
Mhm.
So it's inevitable, but,
The sheriff's department has been almost level funded for several years now,
yeah,
which was also the case for rescue for a long time until there was suddenly a big jump. It tends to happen with sort of departmental reorganization where all of a sudden somebody
and
goes,
state
"Wait a minute,
regulations
where's this
change,
money?"
Well, and new issues. that
and
they're
it forces,
Yeah.
increases, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and the other.
I have no complaints, I'm just curious
Yeah.
as to how it all works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was a little surprised
Yeah.
when I heard that,
And the fire department's the same way,
yeah.
even though it's a town, department, it's, the volunteer fire departments struggle as well,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how that works as far as, I don't know whether there's a set salary and then those percentages above, I would assume it would.
That was
have
my
to-
understanding,
That would,
yeah,
that
that-
would sort of make
And that's
sense.
why I called it a bonus,
Yeah.
because depending on what he or she can negotiate, they get a
Right.
percentage of that. But yeah, I do believe that they have a set salary. Now, that salary could be,
Maybe
yeah,
pretty minimal.
Yeah. it's interesting. All right, well,
We can certainly have more, we can have as much influence over how the deputies spend their time in Putney as we would like to. We have generally sort of taken the approach of, some traffic control is a good thing, but that, other stuff, because we got into, with Melissa, she ended up not doing much traffic control at all because she was so busy with other stuff. And that has shifted a little bit where I see Ian up by the school pretty regularly, which I'm a huge fan of. I think that's great.
I am too.
But, we can, any way we want to guide them, we can do that. We can say, no, we don't want you to do any more traffic control, or we can do, as some towns, as that pointed out,
Yeah.
some towns get, I can't, The top one was like, I want to say it was like $200,000 in revenue.
Yeah, it was an
from tickets.
astronomical amount of money,
Yeah.
and I don't want to see our town go that way.
No, I don't either. Of course, they're also, I think it was Plymouth, but they have both Route 4 and Route 100 in town, so there's
Yeah.
huge traffic.
Yeah.
Very different. Chester gets a lot of revenue
Yeah.
from it as well. Same reason, 103, 11, you know.
I just
You
question
know,
what kind of
these-
cycle that would put us into. You know.
I'm not advocating for it at all, no, but I do think that, you know, for
Having
a
presence
period
is
of
good.
time, people
Yeah.
were complaining that we had too much traffic enforcement, and I think it's decreased a little bit, but, you know, I'm a fan of them being visible and slowing down. I think it helped a lot.
I think we have a very nice balance right now,
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing. I mean,
Reasonable.
I
Yeah.
Well, I guess
haven't
that's,
heard any-
are there other investigative reports that are on there too? Because
Yeah.
that was one of the things I know that we were concerned about,
It's not
getting a
just
level
traffic.
3 officer
Right.
versus, you know, level 2 cannot do investigations.
Which Ian is level 3
I believe he
at this
is,
point. I
yeah.
don't think
Yeah,
he
I
was
think
when he
so.
first came to town. I
So
can't remember.
has the ability to do more investigative work. And that's one of the things that some people liked about Melissa is because she was looking into, you know, abuse issues and among a number of other things.
And this, you may be familiar with this, but it's pretty clear that just the presence of a car in town doesn't do much to shift the equation as far as crime statistics are concerned. It's that follow-up and personal contact that, you know,
Right.
community policing that really
Yeah,
helps decrease the issues.
Right.
Like you said, it's about setting the environment.
Exactly,
creating the-
yeah. A positive, but basically positive relationship and
right.
communication and so on is a big part of it.
Because they have connections.
Well, and knowing the people, you know, knowing
Yeah.
the right people to be talking about,
Right.
talking to when something's going on, et cetera, you know, that just,
Yeah,
that makes a big difference.
It does.
So, but, all right. So we'll revisit that next meeting.
okay.
So, SAMS designation of entity administrator.
We can table this too if you want. It just requires your signature, Josh. It's for the SAMS registration, which designates an entity administrator, which would be me.
Yeah,
That's for the federal funding. You have to go online and you have to, the administrative part of it, you have to fill online, and you have deadlines and things you gotta upload for, like, the housing grants. So it's key for people like Windham, Windsor Housing, to have somebody,
who can do that?
yeah, and we have to do it anyway.
Right. So is that
Yeah.
something that past town managers?
Yes, Cynthia had it, and, you know, they're requesting it be notarized, and so.
And you can notarize it even though you're the one being designated? Is that all right or
I'm
not?
not sure if that's all right, because I had that in the
Because
back
we
of my
have you,
mind,
we have you on there. We
Yeah.
probably ought to have John do it.
I think, yeah, does John have his stamp yet? He does.
I think so.
Okay, good.
So we don't.
So we can
I
do
mean,
this
if-
next.
Well, if you
next-
guys want to vote on this, we can do it
Okay.
sometime
Yeah.
between.
That works for me.
So,
We'll move to designate Karen Astley as entity administrator for the town of Putney.
sounds good.
Yeah.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to designate Karen Astley as the entity administrator for the town of Putney. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we'll take care of that.
And I'll have Jonathan notarize it.
Yeah, it's probably just,
Yeah,
since
I
you're
wasn't-
named on it, it
I
may
know.
not matter, but probably better to stay away from that
Yep.
question.
Yeah,
Town managers report?
none tonight.
Okay. Warrants to treasurer.
How are we gonna do this now, and move to approve and execute the warrants as presented. Is that
There
what
you
you're gonna
go.
do? Just to get it all out right away?
You can always back out of it if it's a problem. So, second?
Seconded.
Been moved and seconded to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have payroll warrant dated June 8th in the amount of $5,892.47. This is just the town office, no library, no on-call.
Skip's back at work.
He is. Brian's very happy about that.
Okay, hold on to your seats. This number coming up.
No, this is,
This is the bill one.
no, this is a payroll warrant as well, dated June 1st for $12,104.59. And this has, your library and any on-call,
And what, you said?
any on-call.
Oh, and you
Yep. There's a couple in there. That'd be on-call firefighters.
Great.
But you can see the difference
Oh, yeah.
between the two when you have your bi-weekly reports versus just town office,
This was
highway.
This was at the school.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff at the school recently, huh?
Pipe down, Steve. All right, now hold on to your hats. Oh, gosh.
You can go ahead, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a big one. Accounts payable, June 1st through June 8th. $102,084.04. There is a breakdown of the checks right here. So we have some payments in here for fiscal year 2019. They'll get charged, they're on the warrant, but they'll be charged in the 2019, we're able to do that. There's two loan payments in here, one for $28,072.88 and.
That's our consolidated loan stuff, or? is-
Yeah, Community Bank,
Yeah.
yep. And then there was another one somewhere in here. But there are two loan payments. So it is pretty high. We expect June 20th accounts payable to, I'm hoping it's gonna be lower, but we're gonna be trying to close out the year, so we're gonna try to capture everything we can. And there may be an extra warrant the last week, depending on what comes in.
Okay.
I just want to warn you guys.
It's not that big. I mean, when we make the school payments, those are the ones that
Yeah.
are really noticeable.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You know, again, there should be a high and then hopefully a low one,
Yeah,
you know, each month.
right, yeah.
But,
Sort of the main one and the follow-up.
yeah,
To get the pool all set.
we are working on the pool. The floor is being painted. They're gonna put a second coat. They're looking at the slide. Hopefully that's gonna get done. I could not get a hold of the concrete guy because there is a crack in the deck. It would've been nice to patch it, but I'm still kind of working on that. There is a leak in between the girls' bathroom and the boys' bathroom. So Jonathan may chase that down. They're thinking it's a pipe, and something needs to be soldered. But if they can fix that just before they open, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. But Joe is filling the pool up.
Good.
We should be ready by Monday. I'll know more.
And it's gonna be able to be used for the
party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks good, it looks a lot cleaner.
Yeah. Joe does a real,
Yeah.
Joe does a great job.
Yeah.
Although he's contracted with Simons,
Yeah.
he doesn't have a problem
I don't
being the
envy-
pool man.
Yeah, I don't envy that job. Where do we get our water from for that? I noticed that the hose goes like off down into the field. Okay, it does come right in from the brook, and then is it filtered as it comes in? Because it looks so clean.
It's filtered, but then it's,
I mean, you can smell the chlorine too,
Yeah.
as it was filling, but.
Yeah.
Occasionally in the past, we've also had fire trucks.
I asked
tankers,
Tom, but it was
tankers do
wet.
It's been,
It
yeah.
had rained.
Yeah, that
And
could be
he
a mess.
says, yeah, it'd be better for Joe to do it, it'd be faster for Joe to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
So one thing in there, out of curiosity, the tree removal at the cemetery.
Yeah,
Weren't there funds also that the cemetery commission had to cover those types of things, or?
so we appropriate money to them.
Oh, I see, okay.
$8,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus they have mowing. So what happens, it gets cut out of the general fund,
And then,
and then they have Edward Jones
right.
CDs.
Mhm.
So they'll request money and it goes back into the general fund.
That's right.
So,
Why?
Salmon and
It's a-
Nostrum,
Must have been a big tree.
Salmon and Nostrum for 400, that's just our retainer? Or is that an addition?
It's a retainer.
That's our retainer.
Yeah, which was odd to me, but that's, I've never seen that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty common. I mean-
Not in Westminster, so. Just saying, Josh.
I think it's not unusual.
I thought that was
But it's a
odd.
good reason, it's a good reason to take advantage of it to a reasonable extent, because we are
Right,
paying a certain amount. So-
yes, yep.
So I didn't notice the tree check. What's the tree check?
4,000 to O'Brien, so
Yeah,
maybe they had to get a boom up there or
There
something.
must have been several trees, I would imagine.
yeah, it must have been a big project, because there was some lawn, they drove across the lawn and,
It was mostly Maple Grove, or?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's all sorted out, so we're good.
Check that out, because that's been accidents waiting to happen.
Well, there's-
for quite a while,
there's more,
so
yeah.
There's more dead ones.
Yeah, well, I think there's just more accidents waiting to happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's,
Yep.
So we have a couple more minutes.
All right. Did we have anything else on there? Warrants? No executive session.
No, other business though, I gave you the June 20th notice for public hearing.
Yeah.
And in your packet is the proposed zoning ordinance amendment for you to review.
Yeah.
Although,
That's-
we talked about it last time, but this will give you a little more information. So that'll be at 5 PM. Social media policy. Larry's license office gave us the blessing on that social media policy
Without changes?
without changes.
Okay.
So they said because it gives us flexibility for the future with committees and boards and social media platforms. They were thinking that the state policy was more generic and they thought that would be appropriate for us. But
Mhm.
once I spoke to Eric Belto and told him, where we were headed, he said, no, use the VLCT. So the one we have drafted is good. Good. For what we're looking to do.
Good.
So we can put that in place. Sweet.
All right. All right. Anything else?
just a reminder,
You won't be here
Yeah,
on
I
the 20th.
am unavoidably out of town on the 20th.
See how you are.
So I tell you, it gets close to the summer and
Go.
I don't blame you. How's that?
no, I just, there's no way around it.
All right. If there's nothing else, then motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you
wonder-
for.